Focus on progress, not perfection. Tony Robbins. Perfection is a seductive illusion from the outside. It looks like the highest standard anyone could embrace. Flawless launches, immaculate spreadsheets, immaculate social feeds, immaculate quarterly reports. Yet perfection rarely serves entrepreneurs, or business owners, or investors in the real world. Tony Robbins, who has coached millions toward massive results, warns that the relentless chase of perfection often masks a deeper fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown that keeps talented people frozen at the starting line. When progress becomes the priority instead of perfection, the entire game changes. You act sooner, you adapt faster. You learn from live feedback instead of hypothetical scenarios. You launch products while competitors are still fussing over fonts and color palettes. You invest in evolving markets while others wait for the mythical perfect timing. You hire promising talent and refine processes as you grow, rather than waiting for a unicorn candidate who may never appear. Most importantly, you free your mind from the suffocating weight of doing everything right and open yourself to the energizing momentum of simply moving forward. This article explores why perfectionism appears so attractive and why it sabotages momentum. It dives into the psychological, strategic, and financial costs of the perfection trap, then offers actionable frameworks drawn from Tony Robbins' teachings. Frameworks that help you replace paralysis with purposeful progress. By the end, you will know exactly how to shift your mindset, structure your actions, and calibrate your metrics so progress compounds daily, weekly, quarterly. You will leave with clear next steps that catalyze growth for your business, your portfolio, and ultimately, your freedom. Ready? Let's begin. The perfection trap. 1. Perfectionism is fear in disguise. Perfectionism usually masquerades as a noble quest for excellence. Dig deeper and you will see anxiety, self-doubt, and the fear of outside scrutiny. An entrepreneur polishes a pitch deck for 6 extra weeks because she dreads rejection from investors. An investor lurks on the sidelines for months because the market might drop another 2%. CEO delays a strategic hire because no candidate meets the unrealistic checklist of skills, personality traits, and instant cultural fit. In each case, perfection becomes permission to stall. Fear gets to hide behind the excuse that it's not quite ready. Tony Robbins emphasizes that human beings will do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. Perfectionism is simply a sophisticated pain avoidance tactic. 2. The compounding cost of delay. Every week spent polishing details is a week without real-world data, without revenue, without traction. For startups, that delay often means running out of cash before product-market fit is proven. For established firms, it can mean losing market share to bolder competitors who iterate publicly. For investors, waiting for a perfect entry price can reduce the runway for compounding returns, a loss far greater than a one-time price dip. Perfectionism taxes you in 3 currencies: time, money, and optionality. Time lost is irretrievable. Money unearned can't be reinvested. Opportunities missed seldom reappear in the same form. 3. Decision fatigue and diminished creativity. Perfectionism breeds analysis paralysis. When every variable must be flawless, the decision tree becomes impossibly dense. Mental resources burn out on minor choices, logo shades, font line heights, meeting agenda wording, leaving little bandwidth for big picture strategy. Meanwhile, creativity languishes, progress invites creativity because progress exposes new problems to solve. Perfection smothers creativity because you never release anything unfinished enough to generate feedback. For a culture of fear and blame, organizations, led by perfectionistic founders, often develop cultures of blame. Teams hesitate to stretch or experiment. Mistakes are punished, not dissected for insight. Innovation rates plummet. A study by Harvard Business School has found that companies encouraging rapid experimentation outlearn and outperform peers that enforce rigid perfection standards. Investors observe the same dynamic. Portfolios built on rigid rules miss asymmetric opportunities that only reveal themselves too flexible. Progress-oriented minds. 5. The illusion of control. Finally, perfection offers a false promise of control in a world defined by uncertainty. Markets swing, supply chains break, consumer tastes evolve. Technology appends business models overnight. Seeking perfect conditions before acting is like waiting for perfectly calm seas before leaving port. By the time you cast off, the tide has changed, and your destination has drifted farther away. The solution. Progress is the prime directive. Tony Robbins is famous for saying, "The path to success is to take massive, determined action." Massive action is incompatible with perfectionism because massive action produces messes, missteps, and mid-course corrections. Below are 7 frameworks mindset, strategy, and tactical tools that convert the desire for perfection into an obsession with progress. Framework 1. The 2 mm rule. Robbins teaches that breakthroughs often reside just 2 mm beyond your current behavior. Small adjustments and extra follow-up call. A 1% price test. An additional marketing channel lock exponential gains. Instead of overhauling your entire business plan, identify one tiny shift you can implement today and measure tomorrow. The 2 mm rule quiets the perfectionist voice that claims you must redo everything before launching. It reframes action as incremental, affordable, and low-risk. Action step. List 3 2 mm shifts you can execute within 24 hours. Commit publicly to someone you trust. Implement and review results within a week. Framework 2. The rapid prototyping cycle. Build, gives, measure. Gives, learn, borrowed from lean startup methodology and championed by Robbins as constant and never-ending improvement. The cycle forces output over pondering. You launch version 1. You capture real-world feedback. You adjust swiftly. Perfectionists. Fear version 1. Progress-focused leaders love it because it accelerates discovery. Action step. Define a minimum viable product MVP or minimum viable test MVT that can be released within 14 days. Set a feedback metric and version rate. Time on site. Net promoter. Score and schedule a debrief date. Framework 3. State gives story, gives strategy. Tony Robbins reminds clients that execution quality depends on emotional state. If you feel anxious and inadequate, your story becomes, "I must get everything right before I try." Your strategy then defaults to over-planning and underacting. Flip the sequence. Prime an empowering state with movement, breathwork, or music. Craft a story grounded in possibility. Every iteration teaches me something valuable. Execute a simple strategy aligned with that story launch. Learn, adapt, action step before each major decision. Take 2 minutes to change physiology. Stand tall, breathe deeply, smile. Rewrite the mental story from "what if I fail" to "what can I learn?" Only then finalize strategy. Framework 4. The 80/20 progress principle. Pareto's law reveals that roughly 80% of outcomes stem from 20% of efforts. Progress-focused entrepreneurs ask, what 20% of tasks will push my project live? Perfectionists focus on polishing the last 20% that adds marginal value. Action step. List your current to-dos. Highlight tasks that directly deliver value to customers or investors. Prioritize those and defer or delete the rest until after. Launch. Framework 5. The momentum metric, traditional key performance indicators. KP is track end results, revenue, profit margins, asset growth. Momentum metrics track inputs that generate progress. Daily outreach calls, feature releases, content publishes, capital deployed. Perfectionists fixate on lagging indicators they can't control. Progress-oriented leaders celebrate leading indicators that build habits and pipeline. Action step. Choose one momentum metric for each business function: sales, marketing, product, investment. Publish a dashboard that your team sees daily. Reward consistent momentum even when final outcomes Lag Framework 6. Asymmetric Risk Management. Robbins teaches to never risk a lot for a little. Perfectionists mistakenly assume any mistake risks everything. Progress Champions. Design tests with limited downside and unlimited upside. Option traders call this a positive expectancy position. Entrepreneurs call it failing forward. Step. For every new initiative, outline worst-case cost, best-case reward, and exit triggers. If downside is capped and upside is exponential, pull the trigger quickly. Framework 7. The postmortem before launch. A premortem. Exercise imagines a project. 1 year in the future as a spectacular failure, the team then lists reasons it failed by surfacing vulnerabilities early. You reduce actual errors without delaying release. This satisfies the perfectionist's desire. For quality while honoring progress, action step. Schedule a 1-hour pre-mortem, meeting the day. You greenlight any initiative. Document top 5 failure points and assign owners to monitor them after launch. Case studies. Progress over perfection in action. Case study 1. Rapid release. SaaS startup. A B2B SaaS founder spent 8 months perfecting an all-in-one solution. Cash dwindled, morale plummeted, and investor patience wore thin. After adopting the MVP approach, the team shipped a single reporting feature in 2 weeks. Early adopters loved it. It's paying enough monthly revenue to fund development of the next module within 12 months. The company attained $3 million ARR and raised a series. A progress beat perfection. Feedback shaped the roadmap. Case study 2. Portfolio rebalancing for asymmetric. Upside and angel investor historically waited for pristine valuations and complete due diligence, missing hot rounds. After embracing asymmetric risk, she allocated 10% of her fund to faster checks in promising teams. Her early entry in one disruptive fintech returned 40 times, covering losses in 3 weaker deals and doubling her overall portfolio IRR. Small stakes, rapid decisions. Controlled downside progress over perfection. Case study 3. Manufacturing turnaround via 2mm shifts. A mid-sized manufacturer lost bids due to long lead times, instead of a full plant overhaul. Leadership applied the 2mm rule, added a second quality control checkpoint and cross-trained. One crew. Cycle times fell by 12% in 60 days. Enough to win back a key client and fund further improvements. Minor tweaks, major momentum, overcoming common objections. My industry can't afford mistakes. Airplanes and pharmaceuticals indeed require extreme quality, but even they prototype extensively before full release. Progress in R&D saves lives later. Investors will judge me. Serious investors value traction more than polish. Invest in founders who learn fast, not founders who wait for perfect. Customers expect perfection. Customers expect reliability and responsiveness. Launch a limited feature set, gather feedback, and iterate. Transparency builds trust. What if competitors copy me? Execution speed and brand loyalty beat secrecy. You are shipping version 2. Conclusions. Perfection is a mirage that recedes as you chase it, draining resources and morale. Progress is tangible, trackable, self-reinforcing. Tony Robbins' core philosophy, progress equals happiness, applies doubly to entrepreneurs. Business owners, investors whose livelihoods depend on motion and learning. Shift your emotional state toward confidence. Rewrite the internal story of what success looks like, and execute strategies that privilege momentum over polish. Employ the 2mm rule for quick wins. Cycle through build, gives measure, gives learn for sustained innovation. Align teams around momentum metrics. And manage risk asymmetrically, so you never bet the company on perfection. When you commit to progress, every day becomes a compounding asset. Every experiment fuels insight. Every small win builds the psychological muscle to tackle larger challenges. Ultimately, freedom, financial, creative, or personal, belongs not to those who wait for perfect waves, but to those who paddle out. Catch momentum and ride the imperfect swells all the way to shore. Make progress now. If this message sparked a shift in your mindset, don't let it fade. Subscribe to our channel for weekly strategies. You can put into play immediately. Comment below with the single 2mm shift you commit to making today. Smash that like button so we know this content fuels your journey. Share this article with a colleague, partner, or investor who is stuck in perfection paralysis together. Let's build a community where progress is celebrated, imperfection is embraced, and success becomes inevitable. Your next breakthrough is 2mm away. Take that step now.